Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Discipline. 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 That is what Geoff Collins is preaching to his team going into 2021. Georgia Tech won 3 conference games last year, but the Yellow Jackets were 121st in the nation when it came to penalties, including 41 pre-snap penalties. Georgia Tech is getting there. Collins can feel it. The fan base can feel it, but they can't get to their goals. They cannot take that next step forward if they continue to beat themselves. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, here to predict Georgia Tech's record going into this upcoming college football season. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. And also make sure to check out everything down in the description below. We have exclusive content for you, namely our brand new expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Not only are they some of the best football spread picks in the country, guys, for the last 3 years, but we're now offering up our NFL spread picks as well. All of them for the lowest prices in the entire country. So make sure to go give those a look over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. I promise you will not regret it. So let's go ahead and take a look at Georgia Tech. Let's look at their personnel first, then we'll dive into their schedule. You look at this team, guys. 6 starters back on offense. This is a young team still. Geoff Collins entering just his 3rd year with the program, dealing with a bunch of transfers, trying to recruit as best as he can. And we saw some of these young players take a small step forward last year. Some of them, their first steps forward last year. And it starts with their quarterback, Jeff Sims. Threw for 1,881 yards last year, 13 touchdowns. It was also the Yellow Jackets' leading rusher with 492 yards and 6 touchdowns. It's his first year as a Yellow Jacket. A lot of excitement around this guy, and I don't think he disappointed for a first-year quarterback. But now is the opportunity and the time for him to take a step forward because he has to improve in a lot of areas. Accuracy, number 1. He only completed 54.9% of his passes. He threw 13 interceptions and did not have a single 300-yard game in 2020. The potential is there for Sims. His dual threat ability makes him so dangerous. You improve on a couple areas, improve on a couple mechanics. This guy could soon be one of the better quarterbacks within the ACC. Same goes for Jahmyr Gibbs, also a freshman running back. Averaged 138.3 all-purpose yards in 2020. Had 460 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on the year. This guy contributed significantly right out of high school and will do the exact same in 2021. The Yellow Jackets averaged 190.8 rushing yards per game. Do not be surprised if you see that number improve this season. For the defense, Georgia Tech also returns 6 starters, but they need a lot of help. They were second to last in the ACC in points per game allowed at 36.8. Same with passing yards per game allowed at 270.1. They have to improve in both aspects. They have to improve in getting off the field. Their opponents converted on 46.7% of 3rd downs last year, and their opponents also averaged 5.86 yards per play. The talent is there. Geoff Collins went out and got it himself. Kevin Harris from Alabama, Keon White from Old Dominion bringing in to boost that defensive line. So the talent is there. It's just a matter of implementing that talent and just improving ever so slightly. We say coaches take 3 or 4 years to start to hit their stride. It could come now. If it doesn't, it certainly will be next year for Geoff Collins. Let's take a look at Georgia Tech's schedule, though, guys. How are they going to do? Year 3, people are tired of waiting. 3-9 in year 1, 3-7 in year 2. Can they improve in year 3? They kick off the year with I almost gave it away. We'll go ahead and do it. A win against Northern Illinois. A team that went 0-6 last year. A team that's extremely young. The only intriguing storyline for the Huskies is that Rocky Lombardi, the former quarterback at Michigan State, is now under center for Northern Illinois. I don't think that'll be much of an issue for Georgia Tech in this defense. Maybe a great opportunity to get some interceptions off of Lombardi. We know how inconsistent he was up in East Lansing. Go ahead and give the Yellow Jackets the win. We believe they'll beat Kennesaw State. It's a kind of a cool full circle game here. Kennesaw State out of the FCS running a dangerous triple option attack. Kind of cool because Georgia Tech obviously used to run that under Paul Johnson. Geoff Collins straying away from that. This defense, though, should be able to get the job done. It might be close for a little while, though. But let's go ahead and give it to them. 2-0. They then go on the road to take on Clemson, and we can mark that up as a loss. And again, not to be harsh against the Yellow Jackets, but why talk about it when they just lost to the Tigers 73-7 in 2020? You lost 73-7. You're not going to improve by 66 points. You're not going to beat the Tigers in Death Valley. Moving on. North Carolina. Another team that, like Clemson, is one of the best in the conference. I think it goes Clemson, then North Carolina. Many believe that will be the ACC championship game. And like Clemson, North Carolina is going to have a very potent passing attack with Sam Howell, who's over 3,500 yards and 30 touchdowns last year, and a very potent defense with 8 returning starters on that side of the ball, including their secondary. Now, the key for North Carolina is going to be stopping the run. Can they shut down the run this year? They allowed 154.2 rushing yards per game. So don't be surprised to see Gibbs and Sims and this Georgia Tech offense put up some yards. Maybe put up some solid numbers against North Carolina. The million-dollar question, though, is if this game were to go back and forth, does Georgia Tech have the offensive consistency to match the Tar Heels? And the answer is no. They do not have the offensive consistency to match North Carolina's very explosive and very efficient offense. And at the end of the day, I do believe the Tar Heels are going to wear down this Georgia Tech defense. One that is getting there, but one, again, that allowed 270.1 passing yards per game. Sam Howell and this offense should annihilate that. This game could be over by halftime. So 2-2 for Georgia Tech coming out of the month of September. And again, when you face the top 2 teams in the ACC in back-to-back weeks, certainly not ideal. But I like to look at it from a positive perspective and say, hey, yeah, those are pretty much going to be 2 losses, more than likely. But you are now battle-tested. You have faced arguably the toughest 2 teams on your schedule, at least within the conference, back-to-back, out of the way, month of September, you're done. And now you're battle-tested, and you know that everybody else in the conference that you have to face will be nowhere near the caliber of Clemson and North Carolina. It's a positive. And that's why I think they're going to beat Pittsburgh on a Friday night game on October 2nd. A lot of people are going to say, how can you pick that? Remember Vincent Davis, the guy who rushed for 247 yards against Georgia Tech last year? Remember him? How can you say that after that performance, Georgia Tech wins? Well, again, they're battle-tested. Pittsburgh will not be. Pittsburgh's toughest game in the month of September is a road game at Tennessee. And we know how bad Tennessee is. So Georgia Tech, battle-tested. Their offensive line holds up against a solid Pittsburgh defensive line, one that's always one of the best in the country. And again, you slow that down, you protect your quarterback and open lanes for your run game, you can win any game, especially for Georgia Tech. And I think they do just that. And I think the secondary for Georgia Tech, which is usually Geoff Collins' strong suit, steps up, takes an interception or 2 off of Kenny Pickett, a 5-year starter now for Pittsburgh, and the Yellow Jackets get a win. They get a solid conference win against a good Pittsburgh team. They're battle-tested. The Panthers are not. They have home field advantage. The Panthers do not. Georgia Tech gets the win. They then play Duke on the road. Give them another win. Back-to-back conference wins for Georgia Tech. Duke had the worst rushing defense in the ACC last year. Worst rushing defense in the ACC last year, and that's all you need to know. If that doesn't sell you, factor in that Georgia Tech beat Duke 56-33 in 2020. I don't see a 23-point swing coming for the Blue Devils, even though they have home field advantage. So after a 2-2 start, Georgia Tech is now 4-2. They've won back-to-back conference games. Things are trending up for the Yellow Jackets. They get that week of rest. They're carrying some momentum into a road game at Virginia. And that's where their small winning streak, I think, comes to an end. When you look at Virginia, yeah, they had the worst passing defense in the ACC last year, but we know Georgia Tech's not a pass-happy team. And even if they were all of a sudden, if they wanted to come up and just air it out, go air raid for once, I don't trust Jeff Sims to be entirely accurate with the football and make the best decisions. He's still a very young quarterback and needs to work on those things. Virginia only allowed 138.5 rushing yards per game last year. It's going to be a matter of can the Cavaliers stop the Yellow Jackets' ground attack. And I do think they're able to. Despite Georgia Tech coming off this week of rest, they have to go on the road to Virginia. And like we've preached throughout these prediction videos, home field advantage is going to play a major role. Maybe one of the bigger roles that we've ever seen in college football in 2021. because of everything that we had to experience in 2020. I do believe Virginia wins this game at home. Georgia Tech then plays the other Virginia school, Virginia Tech, on October 30th. And I think a lot of people are going to chalk this up as a quick win for Virginia Tech, and I'm going to say not so fast. And here's why, guys. And you factor in a bunch of different scenarios here. First off, there's one thing for Geoff Collins and his squad is while they are just, 6-16 in 2 years, 3-9 and 3-7. And while, yes, all 7 losses last year were by double digits, Geoff Collins' squad knows how to fight. They know how to fight, and they're going to fight against the Hokies. You look at Virginia Tech, too. They're a team that every year, for the last 5-6 years under Justin Fuente, have, or I say 5 years, going into year 6, typically lose a game that they shouldn't. Last year, you could say it was Wake Forest or Liberty. A couple of years ago, it was Old Dominion, Boston College, whoever it might be. Virginia Tech slips up against a team they shouldn't. And I think that team this year is Georgia Tech. I think the Yellow Jackets return home, anxious to get a win, because they know, they look at the back half of the final 4 games, they know it's going to be tough. They need every win they can get if they want to try to go bowling. And you look at Virginia Tech and they say, hey, we can exploit that defense. That's going to be the strength for the Hokies, but we can exploit that. And I don't know how strong Virginia Tech's offense is going to be. I do have faith in Braxton Burmeister, and I believe he gets better week in and week out. But this feels like that big-time trap game for the Hokies, or maybe they're riding high after a few big wins, and their world comes crumbling down to the hands of Georgia Tech, who we know is no stranger to upsets. I believe Geoff Collins and his squad get what could be a signature win for 2021 at home against a solid Virginia Tech team. And they need that win, guys, because if you look at the month of November, it's absolutely brutal for the Yellow Jackets. At Miami, at Notre Dame, Georgia. I mean, you're facing 3 potential top 10, top 15 teams in the month of November. And then Boston College sprinkled in there, a team that's improving greatly under Jeff Hafley. So we'll run through these quickly. At Miami, everyone is back. Everyone is back for the Hurricanes. And yes, I know Georgia Tech upset Miami, 2 years ago? It's an absolute stunner. They're not going to pull off that upset again down in Florida. Miami has De'Aaron King, Cameron Harris, 3 or 4 of their top 5 pass catchers are back. 9 returning starters on defense. It's just not in the cards for the Yellow Jackets as they're facing what will be one of the most potent offenses in the country and certainly within the conference. They then played Boston College. They lost to the Eagles 48-27 last year. So that's by 21 points to the Eagles, and they were going through a quarterback change and a head coaching change. Well, that head coach is still back in Jeff Hafley. That quarterback is still back in Phil Jurkovec. Now one of the top wide receivers is still back in Zay Flowers, and 8 returning starters on the defensive side of the ball. The Eagles have an opportunity to be the second best team in the ACC Atlantic, only behind Clemson. And I just don't see Georgia Tech having enough to win this game despite it being at home. Again, Boston College is a team that with that passing attack is going to be very, very difficult to stop. They're one-dimensional, but it doesn't matter if they're still too tough to stop. At Notre Dame, the Yellow Jackets lost to the Fighting Irish 31-13 last year. 31-13 last year, only an 18-point loss. Notre Dame might struggle a little bit offensively, which will be a great relief for this Georgia Tech defense. But Notre Dame's defense will be one of the best in the entire country. Kyle Hamilton returns as one of the best safeties in the nation. Marcus Freeman takes over a defense that has 6 starters back on that side of the ball. If you don't know, Marcus Freeman, the former defensive coordinator at Cincinnati, one of the best defensive minds in the game. And I think he has everything that he needs to come down and stop this Georgia Tech rushing attack. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be a matter of stopping Jeff Sims' dual threat ability and Jahmyr Gibbs right out of the backfield. Because Georgia Tech is not going to kill you with their passing game. They're going to pass it more than we ever saw with the triple option. They're still not there yet to be a dangerous down-the-field threat. Factor in that the Yellow Jackets allowed 189.2 rushing yards per game, and they're facing one of the best running backs in the country in Kyron Williams, and all signs point to a Notre Dame victory in South Bend. And they wrap up their year against Georgia, guys. At this point in the season, Georgia will absolutely probably have clinched themselves a spot in the SEC championship and will be looking to make the college football playoff. They should be a top 3 or 4 team by season's end. And when you look at this, guys, Georgia has won 3 straight games against the Yellow Jackets by a combined score of 135-35. Georgia has a competent quarterback now in JT Daniels. Their defense will be one of the best in the country. Their offense will be clicking on all cylinders, and that's what they've been missing these last few years. That's what Georgia's been missing for the last few years. That's kept them from winning a national championship, and it has not been what they've been missing when it's come to beating Georgia Tech. They can beat the Yellow Jackets with a lesser offense these last few years. They can certainly do it now, even though the game is in Atlanta. They're still a ways away from beating the top dogs, not just nationally, but even within their own conference. And having said all that, guys, we do have Georgia Tech now finishing 5-7. And for many, that would be very disappointing in the sense that they start 4-2. They're actually 5-3 going into the final month of the year, and they drop all 4 games. You can make an argument, guys, that maybe they beat Boston College. Maybe they beat Virginia. Those are really the only 2 toss-up games right now in my eyes for Geoff Collins and his squad. But I still think they're just a little ways away from finally breaking through to the postseason. From finally breaking through and starting to create a little noise in the ACC. Like we said earlier, they're getting there. But it all starts up front. It all starts with the discipline. The team will be a little bit more disciplined, but when they're young like this, you're going to have a lot of mistakes. You're going to beat yourselves up every now and then. Expect that to happen a few times in year 3, not in year 4. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at The Gridiron Expert on YouTube. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Also make sure to check out everything down in that description below. Like we mentioned, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks, not just for college now, but also for the NFL. Some of the best picks in the country, lowest prices in the country. Make sure to go give that a look. The link's down in the description below. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.